There are some huge changes coming to Overwatch 2, from new heroes and mechanics to a whole new free-to-play model. We're gonna round up all the big news as well as hear straight from the game's director, Aaron Keller, about what we can expect when Overwatch 2 launches on October 4th. Obviously, one of the biggest changes is that Overwatch 2 will be going free-to-play. When we asked Aaron why, the answer was pretty simple. It keeps the player base together.
Rather than releasing another box that players would have to buy in order to opt into the experience, we'd rather open the game to as a broad of a population as possible. So Overwatch is a game of teamwork and cooperation and strategy, and we feel like it's played best in a social setting or with your friends. And so removing that barrier to entry, the price as a barrier to entry, is hopefully a way for you to be able to play with more of your friends and have a better experience with the game.
On top of that, just like in Overwatch 1, there's cross-platform play, which will be enabled in the game's second beta, which will be on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC at the end of June. If you're going to be playing Overwatch 2 on a different platform than you played Overwatch 1, have no fear, there's cross-platform progression too. Details on how that will work are thin on the ground right now, but as someone who has to have a PlayStation Overwatch account and a PC one, I can't wait to finally bring all my unlocks together into one game. Over the past couple of years, Overwatch has definitely had a content problem. Yes, there's been timed events and regular competitive seasons, but the last new hero was Echo, and she launched over 2 years ago. With Overwatch 2 becoming free to play, the team are being more transparent with players, changing how they approach releasing new content, and making sure there are enough frequent updates to keep players coming back. Each Overwatch 2 season will last about 9 weeks, and there'll be a new hero every other season. You heard that right, the drought is over. Each season will apparently have more content than the team has ever shipped seasonally before, so brace yourselves. There'll be new heroes, maps, game modes, events, features, and even systems. In order to make it all, the Overwatch team is now 3 times the size it used to be. Let's delve into that roadmap then. Season 1 kicks off on October 4th, and there'll be 3 new heroes: Junker Queen, Sojourn, and a mysterious third who is an unannounced support hero. There'll be 6 new maps, we saw 4 in the first beta, and a new one is coming in the next. There'll be a battle pass, and by the way, Overwatch 2 will have a battle pass model, and there'll be 30 plus new skins, a new game mode, and a new mythic skin, but more on that later. Season 2 will launch on December 6th and will include a new tank hero, new map, 30 plus new skins, new battle pass, and a new mythic skin. Leveling up in Overwatch 2 won't net you that sweet loot box anymore. When we asked Aaron why, he had this to say.
Loot boxes, they've always been a part of Overwatch 1, but as the game has grown, and especially as we go into a free-to-play version of the game where we're adding more and more cosmetics, it becomes a lot harder to earn what you want with a loot box system. And so by losing those and moving over to a shop for Overwatch 2, it gives players the actual agency and the choice to go after what it is they want to have in the game.
You can earn certain unlockables through the game's battle pass, but you can also buy things from the in-game shop. In addition to classic unlocks like skins, voice lines, and sprays, there'll also be new items like weapon charms and mythic skins, which are basically a cut above a legendary skin. For one, mythic skins are customizable. Season 1's mythic skin will be Genji, and according to Aaron, you can swap out his tattoos, change their colors, and check out the visual effects added to his mask. There'll be a new mythic skin with every season. Earlier this year, Blizzard revealed that the PvE was being decoupled from the multiplayer part of Overwatch 2, and questions have been swirling on how exactly the campaign content will work. Well, we finally have an answer and know why that model changed.
When we initially announced Overwatch 2, we presented a vision of a PvP game that had a big PvE component to it at the same time. And as we developed that game, what it meant was that the PvP side of the game was coupled, or was joined with the PvE side of the game. And so the release of any PvP content was now being gated by the amount of time it took for us to build the PvE side of the game. And as that took longer, it meant that there was less focus going into the live side of the game. And this, I feel like this went against one of the core values that the Overwatch team has always had, which is to be able to deliver content regularly for our players. And so the longer that went, I think we realized that we had to change something. And so I understand that there was a vision of what Overwatch 2 was, but we are changing that. And the reason that we are changing that is because we want to be able to get content to our players as soon as we possibly can. We think that that is the right thing to do for our community. We think it's the right thing to do for the game. It's the right thing to do for all of our players. And so that was the initial impetus of what caused us to completely change our strategy.
Overwatch 2 is going to have a full AAA campaign with a linear story and a replayable mode that'll include hero progression. Instead of releasing those separately, they'll launch as part of Overwatch 2's seasonal cadence, starting in 2023. The PvE differentiates massively from PvP because progression is tied to each hero. As you level them up, they can gain more talents and equipment. We've heard about a few of these new abilities, like Tracer being able to damage enemies by blinking through them, and Reinhardt being able to gain armor when his barrier breaks. They'll be talking more about PvE closer to its rollout. The 34th hero coming to Overwatch is Junker Queen, a new tank hero who will be playable in the upcoming June beta. Not only does she look, let's face it, amazing, but she actually brings new mechanics to Overwatch. I'll let Aaron break it down.
She utilizes a mechanic called Bleed. And when she does certain types of damage to characters, she receives that same amount as overhealth to her. And there's lots of different ways for her to do it. And she fights with an axe, a dagger, and she uses this like electromagnetic gauntlet to control some of this. So when she throws her dagger out, she can then reactivate the ability and pull it back. And it will like pierce everybody that's in the way of it. So you can hit somebody on the way out and pull it back and do damage to them again, or sometimes you can purposefully miss and put it behind a team and then pull it back through them, hitting each one of them, applying a bleed to each one of them, and taking all of that as overhealth. Also, when she swings her axe, when she cleaves with it, she can take all of that damage and apply a bleed and get that as overhealth as well. So if she's playing right and hitting people frequently, she's able to be really tanky and kind of just stay up in front of people. And on top of that, she has a buff where she shouts and she gives basically a haste as well as over health to herself, as well as all of her allies. And so she's one of these tanks that she's not long range, but when she's in the thick of things and when she's hitting people, she's really, really hard to take down.
The Overwatch team also debuted a new map for PvP called Paraiso. The map is set in Rio, which means Lucio fans will find a lot to love about it, especially because the last third of the map actually takes place in Lucio's club, and the defending team spawns in his home. One of my favorite things about Busan is that you get to see Diva's space, so I'm really hoping Lucio's home is packed full of Easter eggs. In terms of the map itself, it's a hybrid one, so the attacking team will need to capture a point and then escort a payload through the rest of the map. In terms of what characters will excel on this map, it's all about mobility, baby.
There's high ground all around the first point, and each team has a different way to access it. So defense can kind of access high ground from their side of the point, and offense has a few ways of accessing it from their side. And so there's a lot of use for highly mobile characters on this map. And then as you move through and get towards the end, the high ground actually continues. And so there's, as you travel through this sort of like more quaint village section of Rio, there's different rooftops that you can get to. There's different levels of Lucio's club that you can get to. And I think that it's a really fun map that really highlights a lot of our heroes' movement abilities, as well as a lot of the sort of like long-range sightlines that we have, while still providing all these like tight little flanking routes for heroes like Reaper and I was going to say Junker Queen, and Junker Queen to excel on.
Paraiso will be playable in the June beta, but if that wasn't enough, we also caught a glimpse of another new map called Portugal. I've got some sneaky footage of it right here. Looks like it's another push map to go with the new game mode that will be debuting with Overwatch 2. As a huge Overwatch fan, honestly, the new changes have me very excited. We have been kept starving of Overwatch content for the past couple of years, and the promise of at least the first year and beyond already being mapped out with new heroes and maps and modes is incredibly exciting, and it makes me want to delve back in. It obviously remains to be seen how the microtransactions will work now that we don't have loot boxes anymore, and if the battle pass is going to be satisfying every season, but I guess we'll have to wait and see to find out. If you want to see more from our interview with Aaron Keller, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be posting it shortly. And for more on Overwatch 2, make sure to stay tuned to GameSpot.